Hello everyone, this is Aaron again with another short video for you. In this particular video, I'm going to be dealing with a problem that I have with this scope on this gun. This is my FX Wildcat in .22 caliber. This is my Thor scope. And if you've seen any of my videos on the Thor, this Thor is a heat, I'm just going to call it heat-seeking thermal scope. So it sees heat when you're looking out there, and not much else. The nice thing about this gun is, it doesn't need an aid in seeing. You can see out to hundreds of yards with this thing, just on the heat factor. Whereas with my other gun, the ATN 4K, I have to have a light on it, and that light's only good to a certain range before it falls off. But the downside to having it on this gun is, since I put it on this gun, I've only been able to shoot this gun a few times. Target practice with it is almost impossible unless you out there heat something up and shoot at it, and that's no fun. Once you get the stick locked in, it's really then only good for going out and pesting. You can't really do anything else with the gun. And I hate having this thing setting up and collecting dust like that. So what I'm going to be doing today is this. I've ordered another, of course, it's not going to come as any surprise to anyone out there. I ordered, oops, get it right side up. I've ordered another UTG 4-16 scope, and this is of course the 56 millimeter. So this thing here is going to be the big one. And so what I'm going to be doing in this video is changing this scope out. But at the same time, this is the issue. I need to be able to take this scope off here, put it away, and at such time that I need to pull this scope out and go chipmunking with it, or go shoot at some large animals or anything, get it back on here and have it zeroed with no problem. And it'll be the same thing with this scope. Once I get this scope on there and this scope is zeroed, I need to be able to take this scope off and put this scope back on it and put this scope in and interchange them without the two of them ever losing zero. And for the most part, that's really not that difficult, because the only thing on here that's going to change is the fact that I'm going to take these 4 screws loose and slide this off and slide another one on. The trick to this is making sure this scope goes on the exact same place it came when it came, that it was on when it came off. So that's going to involve me making a couple of little nicks at 2 points here. So when I put this scope on, I'll be putting it on the exact same place. And then the second thing has to do with torque. How much these screws are torqued on and off. Because as you pull them tighter, you can't get a little movement with that scope. So if you torque it the exact same way and put it in the exact same place, every time I put this scope on here, this scope will be zeroed. Every time I replace it with the UTG, it's going to be zero. So that's what this is all about. And with that, I'm now going to be able to take this gun out and do some testing with it, and shoot it at the range, and do some other things that right now I can't do. So it's going to help me take this gun out of the mothballs and put this gun back in circulation with the rest of those guns in terms of what I best with. So let's get started. Okay, in carrying out this process, there's really not much to be done. I got out my my tools here, my metric tool set here, to take this scope off, and at the same time I've gotten out my new O-rings, because this scope is the gun mounts on this thing are dovetail, so I have to get some special ones. And again, I'll always go with the UTG AccuShot scope mounts along with the AccuShot. That I think that this is just a good match. Same company making both. I think those things are going to be precision together. So that's how I handle that. So the first thing we're going to do is remove this. But in removing that, I want to talk a little bit about that process. As I said, these bolts on here in such a manner that they're going to that it is, okay. So basically what I want to do is I want to torque this with this finger and see how hard it is, and just get a feel for it. And now what I can do is I can pop these loose. But before popping them loose, what I've done over here is I put a scratch on this side, on both sides, so as to be able to know exactly where this scope goes back on the next time I mount it. Because if you slide it too far forward and too far back, that could throw it off. I'm not going to say it will, but it could. So getting it back to the exact same place is paramount. So let me go ahead and get the rest of these screws loose and then come back. Okay, we're back, and I've loosened the scope, so we're just going to slide that off now. And as I slide it off, okay, this thing here is ready to go back on there into the exact same position that it was on. And I'll show you what I've done there. What I've done, if you look at the top of the gun, you should be able to see a scratch mark here and here. Those are the scratch marks for lining that back up when I decide to put that back on. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the mounts to the scope, and that's a boring process, so I'm not going to hold you up here as I do it. We'll take a break right here, and when I come back, all this will be mounted, and we'll go to the next phase. This is going to be a very, very short video. Okay, we're back for a moment, and I got the scope on here. I want to talk about a couple of things in this process of putting the scope on where you could actually make a mistake with the scope. Okay, right now I'm going to go ahead and mount it, but I just want to talk about this. One thing you got to do is you got to make sure that this scope is straight up and down. And there's a process I talked about in my last videos when I mounted one. It talks about that, to make sure this line is straight up and down and this gun is level. And I got some kickback on it, but what I do is I'll put a leveler in here and get this gun level, and then I'll hang something straight up and down there, and I'll make sure that these crosshairs in here go straight up and down with the thing that's hanging straight up and down, because you know if something is hanging, it's straight. It can't have any lean to it. So then if I get the gun straight and I can get this crosshair straight up and down on that, then I can lock it down. Now here's the issue we're dealing with when that happens. Make sure that when you get ready to lock this thing down and you put this thing in to lock it, that you lock it down a little bit at a time, jumping from one screw to the other, a little bit at a time. A lot of people are going to go, torque this side down. If you torque that side down, what's going to happen is, as you torque this side, it's going to grab the scope and it's going to tilt the scope. So you got to make sure that you go across, and keep doing that incrementally until you get it down tight. Otherwise, you will cant it. And once you cant it, it's all right for short distances, but if you shoot long distance with a canted scope, you're going to be missing. So we want to make sure. So the next thing we're going to do is get this thing straight up and down. I'm not going to go through that process with you because I did it in the last video. I talked about mounting the scope, and we're going to get this thing done there. So I'm going to tighten it down a little bit, get it straight up and down, and come back. Okay, we're back, and let me show you something that we have to do in this process of making sure that everything is set up right on this gun. And the thing we need to do now is this. We need to make sure that the eye relief on here is at a point where, this is the best way to do it if you're setting up a scope, is to look through the scope and move your eye around just a little bit. If you move your eye around a little bit and you start seeing black around the reticle, then it's either too close or too far away. When you get it perfectly, you should be able to move your eye a little bit and it will stay clear all the way around. That's the right length. At least that's how I do it. So what I want to do now is take this gun up, put it to my eye, and slide it a little bit back and forth until I can look through it and do that and not have black go around the eye piece. Not to move very much, right about there. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to take the gun down and look at something and quickly bring it up to that and see how it looks. Take it down, find something, bring it up to there and see how it looks. If it's falling directly on your eye, then you got it. Alright, so now all we need to do now is tighten this down. Okay, that is now locked in place. Okay, the next thing we gotta do involves making sure that this gun is level, straight up and down. And the best way to do that is this. I got a bunch of these things right here. The best way to get them, I go to the dollar store and I get one of these little dollar levelers, and this plastic, crack it open, and I take these levelers out of it. And I got 4 of them here. Now, one guy, he complained about the process I was using, saying there's no way this gun is level. And yes, it is, because I'm going to show you the process that I use. I take one of these and I put it on there. Luckily, can't recall on the P15s what it is, but both on the Wildcat and on the Impact, there's a place for you to lay something like this. And it lays perfectly on there and perfectly in place. Then what you want to do after that is you want to take this thing and you want to level it. And I usually do that by just pulling on these legs until I get it to a point where it's perfectly level right there. And then when I get that perfectly level at this point, before I go down there to actually get this crosshair straight up and down on the thing that I have hanging down there that I know is straight up and down, what I'll do now is I'll take this one off. That one says perfect. I'll pop this one on there. That one says perfect. Now, if I would have said imperfect, then I would have went on with the process. Now I know that when I put this first one on there, because it's been checked, I know it's perfectly balanced. Now what I do, that I know that is perfectly balanced, is all I have to do now is to come down here, put this crosshair right there on my, I have a broom down there, broom handle, hanging straight up and down. Now I just put that on the edge of the broom handle, and I make sure that crosshair goes all the way down the edge of the crosshair without a gap. And so you twist this while keeping this thing perfectly level, right there. You twist this, and you twist this until you get it perfectly on there while keeping that bubble level. And when you get it right there, it is locked in. It is perfect. You take this bubble off. And now what you want to do is bring it around, and here you want to be careful, because what you want to do now is you want to tighten these. Okay, and as you tighten these, you want to make sure that you jump from side to side. So I'll tighten one here, then I'll come over to this side, I'll tighten this one, then I'll go over this side and I'll tighten this one, and I'll keep jumping side to side like that. Then I'll come down here and do the same thing. Put one there, turn, jump to this side, turn, and I'll keep repeating this process until everything is quite tight. This is already there. Okay? Now, the reason I jump from side to side like that is because if I just put it on this side and start screwing down, it's going to grab this thing and it's going to turn it. Okay? So I got to turn it a little bit, so to keep that scope straight up and down, and not tighten this all the way down and get that thing a screw after doing all this work to make sure it's level. Okay, now the gun is level. If you want to double check it, like I do, just drop this in there now. Just drop this in there. Put it perfectly straight. Put it on my broom. Get it perfectly straight on the broom. And when it's perfectly straight on the broom, right there, look down at that bubble. And that bubble is perfectly straight. And now I know that this gun won't be canted. It is straight up and down perfect. For me, this is the best system to work. Find a platform of this gun and put one in and check it against another one. If it's off, check it with another one until you get the ones that all line up, throw it out on the side, and go with the rest of them, and you're set to go. Okay, so that's how we set this gun up. Now, what I want to do now is, this gun is back in rotation now with the rest of my guns. Whereas before it was out of rotation because with that Thor, I could only use it for very, very minor applications. Now I can use it for any application, because one of the things I did, I made sure I left a gap in here that's big enough for me to put on an adapter that I've ordered for the side shot, so that I can slide the side shot on now 4 guns. And so I know that gap is 1.25 inches. I made sure I accounted for 1.25 inches between the scope mount and the back of the reticle here. So I have the gap in there for that. We have it straight up and down, everything is set. All we need to do now is go out and set this gun at its ranges. 30 out to 90. I found it at 100, I was losing quite a bit on it. So 90 is as far as I'll take this gun for those applications. And I might take it out to 100 again, but because it was kind of windy that day, but I need to check that all out. So there you are. This gun is now, as I said, back in rotation and ready to go. And the nice thing about it is, because I put a little scratch on here, I can actually go in there and take this off, throw it to the side, bring the Thor up for some night vision stuff, put it on its marks and tighten it to just, I got to tighten so I put it just when I push out as hard as I could with that thumb and it doesn't move anymore. That's the torque it ain't going for it. And then it's ready to shoot. Then if I don't want to shoot it at night anymore, take it off, put it over there, put this on there on the exact same mark, torque it to the same levels. And I got 2 scopes that are now dead on and adjusted, and now I can move from day to night vision with this with only a turn of 4 screws. So I hope this video might have been helpful to some of you guys out there in terms of you having more than one type of scope on your gun. If you're locked in with a Thor, and you might want to take that Thor off and use your gun for another scope on it. This is the way to do it. So with that, I want to thank you guys for watching again, and hope I didn't bore you too much. And till next time, I guess we're going to just keep it safe, right? Have a good one.